Well, LeBron indicated that the story that produced all this talk is really just clickbait, but Blatt is in the media crosshairs because of an ESPN story questioning whether Blatt has the ear of his team at this point. So I'll put it to you guys. You played for a lot of different coaches in your careers. How many of the Cavaliers' problems so far appear to be coaching related?
For me, the defensive side of the ball is coaches related. I think we spoke about it earlier. We had Kyrie Irving on the Arena Link, and he talked about each night the defensive principles change. When you look at San Antonio, you look at Memphis, you look at the better defensive teams in our league, Brent, you know this, certain pick and rolls, you're forcing down. Certain guys have the ball, you're trapping it. So when you're watching the Cavs play each night, first part of the season, you're like, where are the principles? Are you double teaming certain guys? Are you forcing guys who are great three-point shooters? Are you getting the ball out of their hands? Little things like that made me nervous early in the season. And to hear that come from Kyrie Irving, the starting point guard, lets me know that's where the defensive problems are before you even get to the offense side of the ball.
I might disagree with Dennis on this point because I think defense sometimes, Matt, comes down to effort. And so that falls more on the player's responsibility as to what they want to give one another to trust what they're trying to do on the defensive end of the floor. It comes down to, am I going to help the helper? Are we going to do this job together? I look more at offensively how it is the Cavs have seemingly not showed some of the principles of what David Blatt's offenses have been about through the years of his coaching in the European leagues, and that's a lot of player movement and a lot of ball movement where players are asked to make reads against teams in the way they're defending them to open up some opportunities. I think that they've given up on some of those principles. They've relied on individual play at times, some of it coming from LeBron, some of it coming from Waiters, and the abilities of a guy like Kyrie Irving to break down defenders individually. It's become a little bit stagnant on that end of the floor. But collectively, Matt, look, this team is 18-12. They're, I think, fifth seed in the Eastern Conference. I mean, if I talked to Dennis 2 months ago, I'm pretty sure, Dennis, in our conversation, we thought after 30 games, this team might be 20-10.
Right.
So how far off are they? 2 games?
Right.
And the inconsistencies have been there on both ends of the floor. I don't think that part's been surprising. This kind of chatter is not going to help, though. It just something like this coming out does not help the Cleveland Cavaliers in terms of moving forward because there's a lot to be picky about with the way they performed in the first 30 games.
Well, the disappointment is proportionate to the preseason hype when this team was formed, when LeBron joined the Cavaliers, when they made the deal for Kevin Love. Fair or not, that's why this is happening. And there was some of that the first year in Miami as well when they began, what was it, 8-9, I believe it was, that first season in Miami. Let's talk about James himself. I mean, look, he's the best player in the world. Still excellent numbers by anyone else's standards, certainly. But he's in his 12th season now. He's played in 4 straight NBA Finals, an emotional summer coming back home. How close to the MVP version of himself has LeBron been so far?
65%. I mean, I think it's been that significant, Matt, with everything that's gone on. You mentioned it, 4 trips to the finals. The emotional, I guess the emotional, it's not baggage, but the draining of your emotions and what it is that he decided to do and going back to Cleveland and then preparing for what was going to be a long road. Even though LeBron's saying the right things about this being a process, it was going to be very difficult and that they were going to have to learn one another, a new system, coach is going to have to learn players. They're still in the throes of that, but there has been times over the last 4 weeks where if you watch LeBron James play the game of basketball, he's not played it with the type of inspiration that we're used to seeing, the type of aggression that we're used to seeing, the type of all-out effort on both ends of the floor. There have been plenty of times, demonstrative times on the floor, where he's been frustrated.
And it took for Tobias Harris the other night in Orlando to kind of wake him up and have people say, oh, okay, this is LeBron.
Talking to him,
We've seen the last 4 years, put a team on his back and carry him. So I agree with you, partner. He looks drained. From leaving Cleveland to going back to Cleveland, all those emotional roller coasters, along with the finals and all the stuff his body's gone through with Olympics. The last 6 years, he's played so much basketball, and he's seen this story before, but now he's going through it with different players. That's Love, Kyrie. Those guys haven't won consistent basketball since their high school days. Now we're asking those guys to win overnight.
And I think everybody, Matt, wanted to compare this to what happened in Miami. It's not even close to the same. There's not the same foundation of a Dwayne Wade MVP in the finals, of a Pat Riley run organization, of Chris Bosh, who came over from Toronto after being the main guy for 7 years and establishing his game. That's not how Cleveland is built. This foundation is still needing to dry, at least the concrete of it. And if you don't believe in what David Blatt's doing, the longer they delay that process, the longer it's going to take them to get to it. So it's been 30 games. It's time to get that thing going.
That first Miami team was 9-8, by the way, not 8-9. Let me correct myself. Whatever it is, clearly there's not the comfort level, there's not the familiarity that LeBron James and the other players need to establish the winning that they hope to establish there in Cleveland. And as you see, he's having his worst turnover year of his career so far. Now, he handles the ball a ton, but Brent, when you watch him play, what's leading to some of these?
Well, is it too much of handling the ball? I mean, we've gone back and forth between LeBron needs to do more and then do less, but, you know, some of these things are just not enough effort. LeBron should be taking the ball. We're going to really nitpick here, Matt. LeBron should take the ball over. Nobody sets a screen on that weak side on the double. You see the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope comes in and gets in the passing lane, but it's these kind of plays where the second effort isn't there on the defensive end. But look at the hit. No hit. No hit for Pope. He gets it right in motion and he takes off and scores. Here it's a horn set situation. LeBron knows the opening is to the right or to the left, and he decides to split the pick and roll where there's two added defenders, too much traffic, too many hands, a steal. And then again, this is the biggest problem for Cleveland. They're not switching from bad offense to any kind of defense and getting back in transition. 4 Cavs players behind the ball on that possession. Here, terrible timing on the Dellavedova screen. There's too much traffic involved in there. DJ Augustin doesn't give up on the play. He picks the pocket. And again, look, Cavaliers players behind the ball, Matt. 4 behind the ball. LeBron, the only one back. Doesn't really react to the pass there. It's just a team that's disconnected that if 2 or 3 things don't go right, they go into the tank. Right? They're 5-9. Let's see, I'm trying to get back to the numbers. They've had double-digit leads in a ton of games. They're 5-9, I think, in games where they've had double-digit leads. Teams have come back on them after first quarters, struggling in the second and third. And it seems like they let 1 or 2 problems become huge mountains of problems that they can't overcome. And that's been the shocking part about their efforts this year.
Well, defense is something that new coaches can often fix with bad teams. And we've seen just the opposite happen with Cleveland. David Blatt, his reputation internationally was as an offensive coach, and most coaches are known for one side of the ball more than the other. Whatever it is, it's not working defensively. This team's not very good.
No, you brought in 2 guys that weren't known for their defense in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. You saw the thing was the 4th quarter in Orlando when Kevin Love didn't get on the floor, and he said, I'm going with the guys that had the good defensive mindset, and they win that ball game. Obviously, LeBron hits that switch and goes off as well. And Kyrie, when he came from Cleveland and he played a part of world basketball, Coach Blatt saw and said, wait a minute. This guy can play defense, he can move his feet, but they hadn't transferred like James Harden and other guys who played USA basketball. Their defense is transferred.
I'm going to clean up my numbers, Matt. I have to do it. So they're 5-9 when they've had a lead at halftime, and in 6 of their 12 losses, they've had double-digit leads. So they haven't been able to close out when they've had the lead. And we're not going to make any excuses. This team has to play harder, Matt. That is the answer to their problems, is they need to compete and play harder. Do they have the personnel to do it? Yeah.
To play hard? Of course.
Play hard, yes. That shouldn't be a question, though, right?
Right. That's my thing.
Question.
That's not the question. But they have the personnel to win with the expectation? I don't think so.
Do we think Sean Marion has enough left? Does Mike Miller have enough left? Does James Jones have enough left? Because when they were winning, like we said, the Matrix had tricks back in Dallas. Now Mike Miller and James Jones, when they were in Miami, now they're asking to do more, where before they just had to make shots.
And with Anderson Varejao out of the picture now with the Achilles, you assume they're going to go after a big somewhere down the line. We'll figure out who that is as well. And you can judge for yourself if they're playing hard or not at all.
Hey, how LeBron get here?
When the Cavaliers meet the Hawks here in Atlanta tomorrow night, LeBron's already arrived. It's fan night on LeBron's 30th birthday. Coverage starts at 6:30 Eastern Time.